we? I'm Cali, aka Stephen Bridgman, number 3 for the Oklahoma City Jaguars. I'm the player that destroyed number 23 of Tri-City Panthers special teams. Welcome to Major League Minor. Enjoy the show.
Buenos nachos, and welcome to another edition of the Major League Minor Show. The only show that's not hosted by some left-wing wacko or some fake news corporations. I am your host. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and our YouTube channel at Major League Minor Shows. Some major implications going on and some big moves this week from the PAFA and the MPFL. A lights-out hit gets 1 million views within a week. And of course, the kick heard around the world with the Guinness Book of World Record holder. Some highlights, scores, what happened last week, and what's to come right after this.
Light them up again, baby. Light them up, baby! Light them up!
This week in the PAFA, there was a lot of movement, a lot of activity, and a lot of great news to be shared. So let's get right into it. This week, Coach Kevin Cox had decided that he's going to get back into coaching this year and became the offensive coordinator and the head coach for the Oklahoma City Jaguars. The Jaguars bring in now a great coach who, honestly, within a hand and a half, has had that many losses. This guy does not lose very often at all. He hates losing. He puts in a ton load of work, has learned a lot of stuff going on from 2011 since he got started to now. He brings in some great recruiting as well. So this week alone, we're going to see some changes, some great changes to the Oklahoma City Jaguars roster. Now, but 2 days later, Gary Joyce decided he's going to go ahead and join up with the Joplin Crusaders, an already stacked team. They just wanted to get themselves into a position of a little bit better coaching. Gary Joyce himself brings in a copious amount of great experience, knowledge, and recruiting, as of course he was one of the key founders of the Oklahoma Thunder football organization, along with the Oklahoma Defenders, where he was a defensive coordinator there as well. And then lately he was the head coach and owner and operator of the Oklahoma Monarchs, another team that was successful in the XFL and got a championship. I see a rivalry brewing up with these two teams. This is going to be fun. Speaking of brewing, this week, the hit heard across the world with 1 million views within 1 week. Oklahoma City Jaguars Stephen Bridgeton managed to get himself a huge hit against Tri-City Panthers, and it has just taken off like a wildfire. So far, there's been 1.2 million views to this hit, and of course it's week 1, so any hits right now is going to spur up a whole bunch of interest, and it's really paid off. Congratulations to Stephen Bridgman. Kind of a fun, wild ride. Enjoy your 15 minutes of fame. Speaking of fame, Joplin Crusaders kicker Billy Perry has entered himself into the world record books. The Guinness World Record Book holder of 36 field goals within 1 minute consecutively obliterates Adam Vinatieri from the Indianapolis Colts old record. He shot that one out the door. Congratulations, and honestly, we got to see some more of this. It's a great backstory. To hand it off to Fox 23, let's see it.
Hey, when we move, they stare at us. That's why they are flaring up. Hey, but you can't compare it us. Boy, get your carried up. Hey, you move the wrong way. Try to block us, it's gonna be a long day. And I got my shine, so them boys gon' hate. But I live life like it's 24K. Everything golden. Everything golden. Everything golden. And I got my shine, so them boys gon' hate. But I live life like it's 24K. Everything golden. Like it's golden. Living my life like it's golden. Living my life like the chosen.
What a great story, and honestly, it couldn't happen to a better guy. Congratulations, Billy Perry, on your world record book holder right now. I couldn't be more proud. Speaking of videos, we got to go back to the first story with the 1 million hits view. If you haven't seen it by now, here's a clip. With hits like that, who needs enemies? Anyway, that was a great time. We'll go into the next week, and hopefully we can see some great hits, some good runs, and everything that goes along into it. So let's get into this week's rankings and last week's scores. As you can see, there wasn't really that many significant changes to the rankings, of course. And as you can also see, the scores, we were pretty close in the predictions. No real blowouts. It was really fairly close. Now, I knew that the Joplin Crusaders and the Kansas Cougars game was going to be, well, within 7 points, and it was really close to that one. Billy Perry was, again, he comes back and wins the game for him with 4 consecutive field goals. Kansas, this is their first thing of the year, so sometimes it happens like that. I think they'll regroup this next week. So let's go ahead and get into this week's Players of the Week, brought to you by Images and Tile. Images and Tile makes great murals out of tile. Honestly, you should get with these guys if you want to have something in your sports room or in your rec room or your guys' room, what have you not, of your playing years. Check them out. I don't think you'll be disappointed at all. Offensive Player of the Week goes to a special teams play that you guys have already seen. Congratulations to Stephen Bridgman. Normally, we wouldn't give out a special teams, especially the guy that plays defense, but this was kind of a little bit extraordinary, and we had to really give it to him this week. Congratulations, Stephen, on that big hit. Our Defensive Player of the Week, Tim Harrell Jr. He records 9 tackles for the Oklahoma City Bulls, and this is the guy that we already put up on our player profile in our first show. Keep your eye out for him consecutively. He's going to put on some good tackles. Congratulations to both our Offense and Defensive Players of the Week. You guys will be receiving a plaque for your Offense or Defensive Player of the Week at the end of the season during the Weekend of Champions. More details to be given out on the location, time, and dates. Well, we're going to have, of course, our championship game, our all-star game, our combine, and of course, our awards ceremony the night before. Details coming soon. Speaking of details, let's get into this week's matchups. Our first game is a noon game. It's going to be played at UConn at Bobcat Stadium. It's going to host the Oklahoma City Bulls taking on the Tri-City Panthers. I don't see much of a contest in this one. I think this could be a blowout, and as you can see by the scores predicted, I just think that the Tri-City Panthers are going to continue on their winning, and the Bulls are going to have to learn from this one. So as you can see, Tri-City Panthers in this one. Our next game is the Northwest Arkansas Battle, traveling all the way up to the Joplin Crusaders up at MSSU Stadium. I really don't know about this one. I got to give it to Joplin. They're too stacked. They have some good coaching now. I just think that Joplin's going to win. However, I could be wrong. Anyway, it doesn't matter because you, the viewer, are going to win in this one because the Springdale Sports Network, or SSN, is going to live stream this game. All you have to do is click on Major League Minor or Springdale Sports Network, and you can actually just watch the game to your heart's content. have a Mai Tai. You could be in your jacuzzi, smoke a nice Rocky Patel or Romeo and Juliet if you can get a Cuban, and have some fun while watching the game. Our next game after that, the Enid Enforcers are traveling all the way up to Kansas to face off against the Cougars. The Cougars, I think, are going to bounce back from last week's defeat, and I think they're going to be hungry. But of course, the Enid Enforcers, you can never count them out. Could be a close game. We'll have to watch that one. Finally, our late game, the Lawton Savages are traveling all the way up for the doubleheader game against the Oklahoma City Jaguars. This is going to be a 6 o'clock kickoff. Should be some pretty decent weather. I know that there's a few places here and there that might get a little bit of showers, but honestly, it's football weather. It doesn't matter. It's springtime. It's still football weather. So, anyway, I think this one is going to be not even a close game. I think this is going to be a blowout of the week, but who knows? Lawton might show up. They might bring something to the table that we're not expecting. We'll have to see. Now we're going to go ahead and get right into highlights with Chiseled Adonis.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your Week 1 PAFA game highlight commentary as the Oklahoma City Jaguars take on the reigning defending 2017 champions Tri-City Panthers. And to start things off, the defending champions have the ball as Rico Watkins connects with Winston Holder for what looks to be the first touchdown of the game, but upon further review, he was down at the 1-yard line. And Holder looks upset with himself for not scoring a touchdown. I would be too. We turn our cameras out to Kansas where the #1 ranked Joplin Crusaders is kicking the ball off to the Kansas Cougars as it's going to be returned by Lee Stewart, who must have been eating chocolate on the sideline because he's got butterfingers. As he fumbles on the play, it's going to be recovered by the Joplin Crusaders. Meanwhile, in Oklahoma, Watkins takes the snap. He's rolling to his left. He opens his Bible, turns to Matthew, throws up the Lord's Prayer, and it's going to be caught by Marcel Miller to get points on the board for the Tri-City Panthers. For the Joplin Crusaders, they send out kicker Billy Perry to kick a 36-yard field goal. He swings his leg, but it's sponsored by the Cupid Shuffle because the ball's going to the left, to the left, to the left. It's no good. Out in Enid, Oklahoma, the Enid Enforcers are trying to defend their end zone as the Oklahoma City Bulls are charging their way in as they strike first and get points on the board. However, on the extra point, the ball must have been sponsored by Tom Brady because there's not enough air behind it to kick it through the uprights. It's no good. Meanwhile, on the other side of Oklahoma, it seems the Watson to Miller connection has not stopped as Marcel Miller is still rubbing his nutsack all over the Oklahoma City Jaguars as he scores for his second touchdown. Back across Oklahoma, somebody get Peter on the phone because the Bulls are about to be abused as the Enforcers enforce their running game all over the Bulls defense to respond for a touchdown of their own. However, for the extra point, they must be kicking that Tom Brady football as well because it doesn't have enough air behind it to go through the uprights. It's no good. Speaking of no good, the Crusaders set up a field goal, but much like restricted phone calls, it's blocked as the Cougars push it out of bounds. Following the Panthers touchdown, again ready to kick it off, and oh, somebody called the EMTs. Stephen Bridgman just killed Matthew Roberson. He hit him from the east to the west, back to the east, back to the west. Rumor on the street is Bridgman claims Roberson on his taxes as a dependent because he is now that man's child. That man's got a family, but he's been subjected to the 8th Amendment as he's been dealt with cruel and unusual punishment. We head back across Oklahoma where both teams are safe from Stephen Bridgman's fury and wrath as the Enforcers fail to enforce their defense as the Oklahoma City Bulls gain 30 yards on a bubble screen. A few plays later, the Bulls are able to run it into the end zone for their second touchdown on the day. They try to go for a 2-point conversion, but much like the aftermath of conquering Mount Everest, it's all downhill from here. It's no good. Back out to Kansas where Billy Perry for the Crusaders has switched his insurance and now he has Nationwide on his side. 3 points for the Crusaders. Meanwhile, for the defending champs, they should change their name from the Panthers to the Air Force because the aerial assault simply cannot be stopped as Watkins is able to connect with Hawkins for a third passing touchdown. The hometown team are lining up for a field goal and the kicker is out of sight. It doesn't really matter because he still missed it wide to the right. No good. The Oklahoma City Bulls are looking to drive down the field. Hey, what's your favorite pastry? I love apple. Turnovers as the ball is intercepted by the Enforcers and down at the 8-yard line. Back across Oklahoma, the Jaguars have some life as Keith Cox gets the handoff and he shows the world he's a fan of math because he turns into a human parabola as he cuts back across the field, makes a move on TJ Covington and he's tackled inside the 5-yard line. That would set up Aaron Atkinson taking the snap, calling voicemail because he's calling his own number as he sneaks it into the end zone to get the Jags on the board. Back in Kansas for the Cougars, they look less like the predator and more like the prey as Reggie Langford is rolling to his right and can't seem to escape the Crusaders. He's pressed the circle button several times and spun, but he can't escape the grasp of the defense. Let's take 1 second to congratulate the Austin Vipers on a 38-0 win over the West Texas Drillers. Here's TD Perkins submitting his application to the 10 Toes Down Challenge as he catches a 30-yard touchdown in the back of the end zone. Later, the Vipers would slither their way down the field yet again as Chase Plord would be able to find Cameron Carathis in the end zone for a 12-yard touchdown. Oh, but the assault would not stop there as Chase Plord would take the snap and run it into the end zone himself for a 10-yard touchdown. And just when the offense decided to stop pouring it on, the defense turns into a coalition of gym teachers as they confiscate the balls of the West Texas Drillers as Chris Franklin intercepts it and goes 40 yards down the field to set up another Viper touchdown. And just when you thought the Vipers would stop applying their poison, Cody Pope absolutely slams the quarterback in the backfield for a sack. The irony in the name being called the West Texas Drillers when it is you who got drilled. That concludes the bonus clips for the MPFL. Let's get back to the P. The Crusaders send out Billy Perry to line up for a field goal. He kicks it through the uprights. And what do you say, Mr. Official? It's good, as the Crusaders are holding on to a 6-point lead. The Enforcers have the ball inside the red zone, and much like racing a Bugatti with a Buick, the Bulls just don't have enough speed to keep up. Touchdown Enforcers. For the Tri-City Panthers, Rico Watkins takes the snap, and you live by the gunslinger, you die by the gunslinger. As he's looking to go deep for Daniel Knighton, but Jeremy Perry makes a phenomenal play and tips the ball into the air, and it's intercepted by Marcus Wilson, and he's running down the sideline and takes a trip to McDonald's. Can I get a McPick-6? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. We still lost, so this score really ain't mean shit, but touchdown Jaguars. We head back out to Kansas where Reggie Langford takes the snap. He activates TM04 as if this was the Jodo League because he's rolling out to his right. And consider the football a child, the Cougars neglectful parents, and the Crusaders the CPS because DeCarlo Martin just took the football away for a Crusaders interception. The Crusaders look to capitalize on the turnover as Steve Hamilton takes the snap. He rainbows the ball down the left side of the field. Is going to be caught by Terrell Johnson, who turns into Trey Songz, who I'm about to dive in for a Crusaders touchdown. They look to extend their 12-0 lead to 14-0, but they fail on the 2-point conversion. Back in Oklahoma, where the Bulls are still trying to put together a drive in the second half, but they fumble the ball on the 1-yard line. That would set up the Enforcers to punch the ball into the end zone and put the game away. Meanwhile, in Kansas, the Cougars are desperate to get points on the board as Reggie Langford takes a snap, rolling to his right, and he finally got his man wide open as Tristan Smith is as wide open as an anus at a butt plug convention. Touchdown Cougars. The Cougars line up for the extra point. They kick it through the uprights, and it's good, and that cuts their deficit down to 5 points with less than 2 minutes left to go. Down by 8, the Jaguars send out Zach Frederick, but his hands are filled with butterfingers as he can't get the snap, and he kicks the ball out of bounds for a Panther safety. Up 23-13, the Panthers need 1 first down to put the game away, and Garrett Griffith rolls to his left, and he's gonna scramble for the first time to seal the victory for the Tri-City Panthers. Meanwhile, back in Kansas, the Cougars are faced with a crucial 3rd and long as Reggie Langford is rolling to his left. He has to retreat and bail back to his right, but he didn't know, like a good neighbor, the Crusaders are there as they switch to State Farm and stop him for no gain. 4th down with the game on the line. Reggie Langford takes the snap. He's rolling to his left. 52 seconds left. He's got his man, but he's going to come up 1 yard short of the first down marker. Take a look at the replay as he is not able to convert on 4th down. It's a turnover on down. The ball will be awarded to the Crusaders, and they take a knee to win the game. Your final score, 12-7.
Whether it's 3 in the morning or 3 in the afternoon, Thunder Bail Bonds is here for you. We understand that you are facing one of the most difficult situations you or your loved ones may have ever dealt with. We will do everything in our power to make sure you or your loved ones are released from jail as soon as possible. Thunder Bail Bonds is the highest reviewed bail bonds company in the Oklahoma City metro area. Give us a call today to find out why, or check out our additional videos and content. Call your always timely, professional, and courteous bail bondsman, Frank Deloger, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
This week in the MPFL was also very active, action-packed to be honest with you. Longtime commissioner, 6-year commissioner, J.C. Kemme has decided to step down. He's going to be replaced with Jim Mundy, who used to be the commissioner of the Texas United Football League back in the day. Jim brings in a plethora of knowledge himself, and I think this is a great move for not only J.C. but also Jim. Speaking of J.C., he's decided to go ahead and have the CEO role along with doing a lot of the multimedia stuff that we do here at Major League Minor. This is a great addition. So, without any further ado, I hand it off to CEO J.C. Kemme.
Good evening. Thanks again for having me, Chris. And yes, we do have a new commissioner here in the MPFL. I have decided to step down for a multitude of reasons. And ultimately, it was time for a change. After 6 years at the helm, for me, we needed a new voice and someone that could carry us into the next generation of what is turning into and has always been an ever-changing landscape in minor league football. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still the CEO and owner and public relations director for the MPFL. And this is going to give me more time to pay attention to media as well as other areas that we definitely want to shore up, certainly as it relates to my contributions to this television program. And ultimately what this does by bringing in a qualified commissioner, this strengthens the consortium, if you will. This makes us that much stronger as we have added someone with incredible experience as well as integrity to the fold, and that man is Jim Mundy. He is a former player and owner and coach and has championships to his credit as a player and as a coach. He is also the former commissioner of the TUFL, the league which under his watch grew to an unequaled size and scope in terms of the number of teams in the region at 40 plus and having a presence in every region of the state of Texas, as well as jumping into Louisiana, New Mexico, and Oklahoma as well. So Jim has got a tremendous ledger of experience on his side, but I believe that most importantly in this process, we found someone who is honest and very well respected around our level of football, something that's critical when you make a transition like this. So I, for one, am extremely excited at the prospects of working more on the areas that I need to work on and having Jim handle the office of commissioner. This is going to expand what we are able to do and will fit directly in with our major plans for this level of football and the MPFL and football in general. So with that being said, I'd like to welcome Commissioner Mundy aboard. I'm going to enjoy working with him as I have enjoyed working with him in the past, even worked against him a little bit when we were in rival leagues, but now we are on the same team. Very excited about that. Welcome aboard, Commissioner Mundy. Look forward to working with you, and I know that those sentiments are echoed throughout our level of football and the MPFL. Well, let's jump right to the things that matter, and that being number one, the games. Let's go into the scores from the Week 0, March 3rd, 2018, of the MPFL 2018 campaign. We had 6 games on a slate, an abbreviated slate, if you will, with it being Week 0. And let's get to the scores from those right now. Let's go straight to the doubleheader in Killeen, which had an Eastern Conference showdown as well as an interconference showdown. And in Game 1 of this doubleheader, which was to benefit Alzheimer's research and did raise some money for them, and am very happy with that. In Game 1 of the doubleheader, we had the Denton County Rhinos 40 and the DFW Reign 16. In Game 2, that interconference matchup that we spoke of, the MPFL champions took the Austin Vipers, took on the West Texas Drillers, and came out on top in that one big by a score of 38-0. Let's jump over to the east, where the North Texas Stampede took on the Metroplex Pride. The Stampede coming out on top, 24-0 in that one. The Texas War Eagles also a victor in Week 0 there, their first game of the season in the MPFL. They won 45-0 over the expansion Arlington Mustangs. And in keeping with that, let's jump right to the DeSoto Tarantulas, who were taking on the Northeast Texas Raptors. The Tarantulas also coming out on top in that one by a score of 45-0. And out in the West, we had a matchup as well of a couple of playoff teams from the MPFL last year getting together to kick off the season out West. and the West Texas Pride out of Midland, Texas, were hosting the West Texas Lions out of El Paso, Texas. The Pride come away with the win in that one, 12-0 to go to 1-0 on the season. Looking ahead and to our technically what is week 1, but week 2 for many teams, our March 10th slate of games. Let's jump right into them. First, let's go out west, where the West Texas Pride, 1-0, as we said just a second ago, are taking on the Otero Desert Dogs, led by head coach Kyle Haney, who, let me tell you something, I've spoken with this guy before many a times. He is a smart cookie and an excellent football coach. This is going to be an excellent football game. Also making their MPFL debut, the Lubbock Liberty Eagles will be taking on the West Texas Drillers, 0-1, based on the game last week in Killeen. And the Lubbock Liberty Eagles are making their MPFL debut in this one. This one is going to be hotly contested. These teams have seen each other before, and this is going to be an excellent game. And out in the El Paso area, we've got the Sun City Reapers taking on the West Texas Lions, 0-1, as we mentioned earlier. And also in the West, the final tilt, the Amarillo Horned Frogs, the expansion Amarillo Horned Frogs, will take on the West Texas Outlaws, who are in their 17th year of existence. Those boys up there in Lubbock are aiming for 20, and this is year 17 of that goal, and that one looks to be a very interesting tilt as well. Now let's shift gears and jump on over to the East. In the Eastern Conference of the MPFL, the Arlington Mustangs, 0-1, as we said before, will take on the Texas Bullets. The 1-0 Austin Vipers will take on the Texas War Eagles, also 1-0. The 1-0 Denton County Rhinos will take on the DeSoto Tarantulas, who are also 1-0. The Dallas Vikings will travel out to Northeast Texas and take on the Northeast Texas Raptors, 0-1, coming off their opening week loss to the DeSoto Tarantulas. And the 0-1 Metro Pride will take on the 0-1 DFW Reign. And in the final matchup, or should I say, the North Texas Stampede, who won last week, are the team in the MPFL in week 1 that has a bye. Again, as I said before, when you have 19 teams or an uneven number of teams, somebody is going to have a bye. This week, that would be the North Texas Stampede. Going to be an interesting slate of games this weekend. Had an interesting slate last weekend, and this is a continuing trend in the MPFL. There are big games every week, exciting matchups, and we certainly invite any and all who are in the area of these great matchups to come on out and to enjoy the experience that is the MPFL in 2018. We will see you guys next week, and it will be even bigger than it was this week. I'm J.C. Kimmy, former commissioner of the MPFL, now CEO and PR director. And again, if you've got an MPFL game in your area, be sure to come out and check it out. And we will drop back in with you all and give you the inside scoop on the MPFL same time next week on this particular program, that being Major League Minor. Again, thanks again for having me, Chris, and I will throw it back to you at this point.
Well, that's your show, folks. Join us next week as we tackle all the headlines, revisit the scores, the rankings, the highlights, of course, and everything in between on the next Major League Minor show.